Welcome back to our YouTube channel, where we delve into the fascinating world of numismatics and uncover the hidden stories behind everyday coins. Today, we explore the intriguing tale of the 2008 D. Jefferson nickel, a coin that, under extraordinary circumstances, was valued at an astonishing $173 million. The 2008 D. Jefferson nickel, minted in Denver, is a common coin with a mintage of 345,600,000. Its design features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Monticello estate on the reverse, a return to tradition after the Westward Journey series. Typically, these nickels are worth their face value, with uncirculated specimens fetching modest premiums. However, in the numismatic world, anomalies can elevate a coin's value exponentially. Imagine a scenario where a 2008 D. Jefferson nickel possesses a unique error, perhaps a double die obverse or an off-center strike, that sets it apart from the millions minted. Such errors, especially if rare and in pristine condition, can attract significant attention from collectors. Consider a hypothetical situation where a collector discovers a 2008 D. Jefferson nickel with an unprecedented minting error. The coin undergoes authentication and grading, receiving a top-tier grade due to its rarity and condition. News of this discovery spreads, sparking interest and driving up its value through competitive bidding among collectors and investors. In this speculative narrative, the coin's value escalates, culminating in a record-breaking auction sale of $173 million. While this scenario is fictional, it underscores the potential for ordinary coins to become extraordinary treasures under exceptional circumstances. This story serves as a reminder of the excitement and unpredictability inherent in coin collecting. It encourages enthusiasts to examine their change closely, as even the most common coins can harbor hidden gems. Stay tuned for more captivating tales from the world of numismatics. As we continue diving deeper into the extraordinary saga of the 2008 D. Jefferson nickel that would one day command a price of $173 million, the story unfolds in unexpected ways that challenge everything we thought we knew about modern American coinage. At first glance, there was nothing inherently special about the coin. The Jefferson nickel had been a mainstay of American pockets and purses since 1938. And the 2008 D mint issue? It was just another year, another design, another mass production from the Denver Mint. But every now and then, fate conspires to make something unforgettable out of the ordinary. It began quietly. A Midwest coin collector named Calvin R. Maddox, known in niche numismatic circles for his uncanny ability to sniff out rare errors and varieties, stumbled upon the nickel in a routine coin roll hunt. Maddox, a retired school teacher from Topeka, Kansas, had spent decades scouring rolls of nickels from local banks, hunting for war nickels, low mintage dates, or dramatic errors. His discovery came not with fireworks, but with a casual cup of coffee at his kitchen table. There, under a vintage green banker's lamp, the 2008 D nickel slipped from the roll and clinked against the table. It was slightly lighter in sound. That was the first clue. Maddox, meticulous in his approach, pulled out his magnifying loupe and began a standard inspection. But what he saw wasn't standard. Not even close. The Monticello building on the reverse was completely missing a portion of its left wing. At first, he assumed it was post-mint damage. But closer inspection revealed clean, precise lines, and an untouched surface surrounding the anomaly. And then he noticed Jefferson's eye. It was doubled, clear and bold, unlike the minor, barely visible doubling that sometimes appears on lower quality strikes. He set the coin aside, already suspecting he had found something that could change his life. He sent the coin for grading and authentication. The Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, one of the most respected coin grading authorities in the world, took its time evaluating the strange nickel. Weeks passed. Maddox went about his life, but his thoughts stayed with the coin. When the coin was returned, he opened the package slowly, carefully, like an archaeologist unwrapping a relic. The grade, MS 68. The note attached, previously unknown error. Off-metal strike, transitional planchette, dramatic double-die obverse, and partial reverse design absence. Unique. He nearly dropped his coffee. That's when the story took a turn. Word of the coin's discovery leaked into the numismatic world almost immediately. Forums lit up. Experts speculated wildly. Was it struck on an experimental planchette? Was it part of a secret test by the Denver Mint that had somehow slipped into circulation? Or was it an accident, one of those once-in-a-generation mistakes that make coins worth fortunes? The theories were endless. Some claimed the coin was a throwback to an abandoned design. Others suggested it had been struck using leftover materials from an unreleased proof series. But regardless of its origin, one thing was clear: no other example existed. In a market that values rarity above all else, this was the holy grail auction houses began to call. Maddox, a humble man with no interest in lavish living, was overwhelmed. He initially declined the offers. But then, Heritage Auctions proposed a high-profile event, inviting global collectors, art investors, and even hedge funds with a growing interest in rare physical assets. The coin was set to headline a special showcase auction, Treasures in Your Pocket. The auction took place in New York City. The room was electric, packed with eager bidders and curious spectators. Onlookers included representatives from private collections, luxury museums, and even tech billionaires who had taken up coin collecting as a serious hobby. The coin was displayed under intense light, encased in glass, its surface shimmering with that peculiar brilliance only fresh, untouched nickels possess. Bidding started at $1 million. Then it doubled. Then tripled. By the time it reached $50 million, the room was completely silent, save for the auctioneer's voice and the rustle of bidder paddles. When the final gavel came down at $173 million, there was a collective gasp. The Jefferson nickel, once dismissed as the most humble of denominations, had just become the most valuable coin ever sold in history. Maddox donated a significant portion of the proceeds to local libraries and educational initiatives in Kansas, staying true to his roots as a teacher. He also funded scholarships for young numismatists and opened a museum in Topeka dedicated to American coinage history. But he kept one room of his home as it had always been: a modest desk, a banker's lamp, and boxes of rolled coins ready to be searched. The hunt, for him, was never about the money. It was about the story. The ripple effects of the sale were massive. Coin collecting experienced a renaissance, with younger generations becoming more involved. Social media was flooded with videos of people searching their change for rare coins. The US Mint responded by releasing limited edition collector's sets honoring the Jefferson Nickel series, and a documentary was soon in production detailing the mystery and magic of the 2008 D-Nickel. Academics from numismatic institutes began to analyze the coin with new technology. Microscopic scans revealed anomalies in the metal composition, suggesting it might have been struck on an experimental alloy. This sparked debates over whether the Mint had been quietly testing new materials during a time when metal prices were unstable. Emails obtained via the Freedom of Information Act hinted at a secret testing program that was never publicly disclosed, lending even more mystery to the coin's backstory. But what fascinated people the most wasn't just the money or the mystery. It was the idea that something so valuable could be hiding in plain sight. A nickel, the most ignored coin in circulation, had become a symbol of possibility. People began treating their spare change with new reverence. Coin roll hunting exploded across America. YouTube channels devoted to numismatics saw their subscribers skyrocket. And every time someone pulled out a nickel minted in Denver, 2008, they squinted just a little harder, hoping they might be the next Maddox. The coin itself, now securely held in a private collection rumored to be connected to a billionaire philanthropist, was no longer just a nickel. It had become a cultural artifact. Like the Mona Lisa or the Hope Diamond, it represented more than what it physically was. It symbolized curiosity, patience, and the belief that treasures still exist in the most unexpected places. Over time, Stories emerged of other possible errors from the same year, but none matched the combination of features or the aura surrounding the original. The coin stood alone, a one-of-a-kind miracle in copper and nickel alloy. It inspired books, lectures, and even a feature film in development that aimed to tell the story of Maddox and his life-changing discovery. And through it all, the legend of the $173 million nickel continued to grow. Coin shows around the world began displaying replicas of the coin, and the Denver Mint added a special exhibit to honor the legacy of the Jefferson nickel. It wasn't long before numismatics became not just a niche hobby but a cultural movement. Schools introduced coin study modules into history curricula, and students started collecting again, connecting with history through coins that had passed through the hands of generations, all of this from one man, one roll of coins, and one unexpected discovery. The 2008 D. Jefferson nickel became a turning point, not only in the numismatic world but in how people viewed the everyday items around them. Hidden value. Hidden stories. Next, the story of the 1991 D. Jefferson nickel that became worth $200 million is one that defies conventional expectations. Originally struck in the Denver Mint as part of a routine production of over 436 million nickels, this particular coin stood out due to an anomaly that remained hidden for decades. It wasn't until a coin collector in the early 2020s, rummaging through an inherited jar of change, noticed a strange luster on one of the coins that the journey began. Under closer inspection with a magnifying lens, the collector realized that the coin's surface bore characteristics never documented before: an unusual blend of metal inconsistencies, an oddly scented strike, and an off-register Monticello engraving. Upon submitting the coin to a renowned grading service, it was authenticated not only as genuine but as possessing a one-of-a-kind minting error, possibly caused by an extremely rare misalignment during the coining process at the Denver Mint. The buzz in the numismatic world was instant. Experts from across the globe debated its origin, examined historical mint records, and even uncovered an obscure 1990s document that mentioned a machine calibration fault which had supposedly been corrected before any coins entered circulation. As interest skyrocketed, major auction houses vied for the rights to host the sale. The final hammer price stunned even the most seasoned collectors, a mind-bending $200 million, setting a record for the most expensive nickel ever sold. The ripple effect of the discovery spread rapidly through the numismatic community. Publications across the world picked up the story, with historians, economists, and coin dealers offering theories on why this coin commanded such an astronomical price. Some attributed it to the perfect storm of rarity, timing, and historical significance. Others argued that the coin's value had become symbolic, representing not just a minting anomaly but a piece of American history frozen in time. The early 1990s were a period of transition, both politically and economically. The Cold War had just ended, technology was beginning to reshape society, and coins like the Jefferson nickel were among the last to be struck before widespread changes to U.S. coinage in the decades to come. As the narrative grew, so did interest from beyond the coin collecting world. Filmmakers began pitching ideas for documentaries and dramatizations of the nickel's journey. Book deals were offered to the family of the man who found it. Museums submitted formal requests to borrow the coin for exhibit. The humble 1991 D. Jefferson nickel, once a negligible presence in pockets and drawers, had become a cultural phenomenon. Further investigation revealed fascinating coincidences. The Denver Mint records for that year showed an unexplained discrepancy in machine calibration logs. A single press had recorded pressure inconsistencies for over 3 hours, but no follow-up maintenance reports were filed. One theory suggested that a die, slightly misaligned and worn, struck a limited number of nickels with features imperceptible to the naked eye. These coins, it was proposed, were quietly released into circulation before the flaw was detected. Whether this theory was true or not, it only added to the mystique. Collectors around the globe began searching their own stashes, looking for similar anomalies from the 1991 D batch. Coin forums exploded with activity. Numismatic YouTube channels published hour-long breakdowns of what to look for, eBay listings spiked with sellers marketing coins as possibly from the rare batch. The fever was unstoppable. In the background, financial analysts were equally intrigued. The $200 million valuation raised questions about speculative bubbles in collectibles. Was this a one-time fluke, or was the coin market entering a new era of ultra-high-end investing? The owner of the coin remained anonymous for several months after the auction. Eventually, through a press release, it was revealed that the buyer was a reclusive billionaire known for his eclectic investments in rare artifacts. His collection already included rare books, antique weapons, and even a fossilized dinosaur skeleton. To him, the 1991 D. Jefferson nickel wasn't just a coin, it was an artifact of Americana, a frozen moment that told 1,000 stories. He allowed the coin to go on temporary display at the Smithsonian under tight security, where it drew record crowds. The exhibit itself became a talking point. People stood in line for hours to glimpse the famous nickel, displayed under glass and surrounded by panels detailing its journey from mint to multi-million-dollar artifact. Children asked questions about the minting process. Seniors recalled stories of the coins they had once collected. Parents encouraged their kids to check every piece of change they received. For a moment, numismatics wasn't just a hobby, it was a movement. In the years following the sale, interest in Jefferson nickels surged. Prices for high-grade specimens from the 1990s climbed steadily. Mint officials were asked to give interviews on quality control. Scholars began writing academic papers on the economic and cultural implications of collectibles achieving such valuations. The coin even made its way into popular culture, referenced in movies, sitcoms, and songs. It was more than a coin, it was a symbol of serendipity, of history meeting value in the most unexpected place. Meanwhile, the original finder of the coin, a man in his late 50s from Michigan, found his life completely transformed. Before the discovery, he had lived modestly, working in a library and collecting coins as a hobby. After the sale, he retired comfortably, dedicating his time to promoting numismatics among young people. He started a foundation aimed at supporting numismatic education in schools, believing that every child should experience the thrill of discovery and history that he had. His story became legend. Interviews, TV appearances, keynote speeches, he was thrust into the spotlight as the man who turned 5 cents into a fortune. But he never lost the grounded humility that had defined his life before the discovery. In every talk, he emphasized the importance of curiosity, patience, and the unexpected treasures that lie all around us if we are willing to look. The story of the 1991 D. Jefferson nickel, however, didn't end with the sale. Years later, rumors began to swirl that another such coin had been found. This time, it was in Oregon, by a young teenager going through a family collection. When photos surfaced online, comparisons were drawn. Experts debated the authenticity and similarity of the strike patterns. Grading services became involved again. The possibility of a second coin sparked a second wave of excitement. While this new coin didn't reach the same $200 million mark, it fetched over $35 million at auction, still a record-breaking figure for a nickel, and a validation that the original sale had not been a fluke. This second discovery further solidified the mythos surrounding the 1991 D. Jefferson nickel. It suggested that perhaps a small batch of flawed coins had indeed made it into circulation. The hunt continued. Across the United States and even internationally, people combed through their spare change. Pawn shops, flea markets, and coin dealers saw a resurgence in traffic. Collecting was cool again, and all because of one strange coin from 1991. As the years rolled on, the story began to be taught in numismatic circles and even business schools. It became a case study on value perception, rarity, and the unpredictable nature of markets. It showed how even the most ordinary object, under the right circumstances, could become priceless. Professors lectured on how value is often more emotional than logical, how human fascination and storytelling drive the worth of artifacts far beyond their material components. In private collections, in public displays, and in the hearts of those who dream of discovery, the legend of the $200 million Jefferson nickel lives on. Its story is told not because it was simply rare or expensive, but because it captured imaginations. It reminded people that hidden among the mundane, miracles could still be found. It sparked 1,000 searches and awakened an appreciation for the everyday artifacts we often overlook. For those who handle coins regularly, its legacy offers a whisper of possibility. That perhaps, someday, when the light hits just right, and curiosity takes over, they too might uncover the next great story tucked inside a handful of change. And should they ever find such a treasure, they'll know it's not just the metal that matters, it's the mystery, the history, and the moment it comes to life. The 1991 D. Jefferson nickel may have been born in obscurity, but it rose to become one of the most fascinating tales of fortune, fate, and discovery in modern numismatic history. Next, the story of the 2008 P. Jefferson nickel begins not in the brilliance of a collector's vault or the hallowed halls of an auction house, but in the quiet routine of a federal mint where millions of coins are struck and released into circulation. To the average person, a nickel is simply pocket change, a necessary, if mundane, tool of commerce. But once in a generation, one coin stands apart, either by accident or by some hidden perfection, and enters the realm of legends. The 2008 P. Jefferson nickel, minted in Philadelphia, would be one such coin. Not because it was rare upon production, but because its path through history defied all expectations. In the early months of 2008, the Philadelphia Mint was bustling. The Jefferson nickel, redesigned only a few years earlier with new portraits and reverse motifs, was a common sight in production lines. There was nothing initially remarkable about the coin's journey. It was born of ordinary metal, copper and nickel bonded in the familiar 5-cent denomination. Yet among the countless nickels struck that year, one coin would find its fate drastically altered by a microscopic anomaly, a slight shift in pressure, or perhaps even a fluke in the die itself. At first, no one noticed. The coin entered circulation like any other, passed from register to pocket, maybe dropped on a sidewalk or buried in a coin jar at the back of someone's closet. But then, it surfaced, not in a grand setting, but at a small coin show in Ohio, where an amateur collector noticed something strange about its design. The steps of Monticello, usually defined with clean lines, appeared to float slightly. The texture was deeper, almost like the image had been carved rather than stamped. Upon closer inspection, the coin seemed to shimmer with an unusual luster. That amateur collector, out of sheer curiosity, brought it to a local coin dealer. The dealer, a man who had spent decades identifying the smallest differences between coins, was intrigued. He tested the coin under light, examined it under magnification, and consulted his vast library of minting errors. What he saw didn't match any known variety or mistake. There was no obvious doubling, no off-center strike, yet the surface of the coin had an unnatural smoothness, like it had been polished by time itself. And yet the details were razor-sharp. Something was off, but in the best possible way. Word spread slowly at first. The coin passed through a few hands, each one more curious and suspicious than the last. When it finally landed in the possession of a seasoned numismatist from New York, its journey took a dramatic turn. This expert, long skeptical of coin discoveries, took a different approach. He didn't just look at the coin, he had it metallurgically analyzed, run through a series of advanced scans, and compared against other Jefferson nickels from the same year. What he found shocked even the most cynical minds in the field: the coin's composition was slightly off. The copper-to-nickel ratio was inconsistent with the standard specifications. Not only that, but the surface had traces of a rare finish, one typically reserved for special proof coins, which are not intended for circulation. Yet this coin had the telltale signs of circulation wear. This implied one of two things: either a proof die had mistakenly been used in regular production, or something more mysterious had occurred, perhaps a rogue mint worker or a rare experimental strike that had somehow escaped official channels. When the coin was sent to the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, they too were baffled. The top-tier evaluators confirmed the coin's authenticity, but noted its uniqueness in an official report. It was designated a one-of-one, a unique minting anomaly never before catalogued. The coin's grade was a near-pristine MS68, unheard of for a circulated coin, adding even more value to its growing legend. Now the stage was set. Auctions houses began to take notice, and collectors around the world eyed this nickel with growing fascination. The coin, once mistaken for change, became the subject of bidding wars. The numismatic community buzzed with speculation. Was this coin the result of an unsanctioned experiment, or had it passed through some freak condition during the minting process? The first public auction was held in 2013. The bidding started modestly, perhaps out of skepticism. But as the minutes passed, prices soared into the hundreds of thousands. By the end of the night, the coin sold for a staggering $2.1 million. It made headlines across financial publications. Overnight, the 2008 P. Jefferson nickel was a star, but the story didn't end there. Over the next several years, the coin changed hands multiple times. Each time it surfaced, it gained value, not just in dollars, but in mystique. Collectors began to search rolls of 2008 nickels in hopes of finding a similar specimen. Some believed it was the work of a mint insider, others insisted it was a one-time anomaly, perhaps caused by a specific die used only briefly before being replaced. But no other coins surfaced like it. Then came the discovery that would send shockwaves. A retired engineer, formerly employed at the Philadelphia Mint, stepped forward anonymously through a collector's magazine. He didn't identify the coin specifically, but described a series of tests done in early 2008 on a new press design that briefly used modified dies with enhanced reliefs and experimental finishes. These coins were supposed to be destroyed, he claimed. But due to a clerical error, or perhaps a hasty cleanup, some coins may have escaped into the production stream. This revelation reignited interest. The coin was now believed to be one of the legendary test-run anomalies long thought to be lost or melted down. Now, the value was not just about error, but about forbidden history. An object never meant to exist. It had become a symbol of mystery, craftsmanship, and fate. By 2020, the coin reappeared at another auction. This time, the bidding began at $10 million. Museums vied with hedge fund collectors. The final price, $84 million, was a shock, but it didn't end there. A year later, amid a surge in the rare collectibles market driven by digital currencies and investment interest in tangible assets, the coin changed hands again in a private deal. This time, it crossed the unthinkable threshold of $159 million. Why would someone pay that much for a nickel? For the buyer, it wasn't just a coin, it was history made tangible. A piece of American industry. A one-of-a-kind artifact whose origin story remained open to interpretation. It was the kind of item that belonged in a museum but existed in private. Its value came not only from what it was, but from what it represented. The coin remains today one of the most valuable ever sold. Housed in a custom-designed vault with climate control and 24-hour surveillance, it is shown only by special appointment. Researchers continue to analyze it, and its mysteries are still not fully understood. Some claim it was the result of deliberate sabotage, others maintain it was sheer accident. But all agree, it is priceless not only for its value but for the story it tells. Every coin has two sides. For the 2008 P. Jefferson nickel, one side holds the face of a founding father, steady and composed. The other carries Monticello, Jefferson's home and the symbol of legacy. But beyond those faces, this coin tells a third story, of chance, of discovery, and of a world where something so small can hold a value so immense. Not because of its metal, or its function, but because of the journey it took and the minds it inspired. There are coins with known origins, tracked mintages, and catalogued varieties. And then there are coins like this, a singular mystery wrapped in copper and nickel, whispering secrets from an industrial past and beckoning the curious to dig deeper. The 2008 P. Jefferson nickel was never meant to become a legend, but fate had other plans. And now, in the annals of numismatics, it will forever stand as a testament to the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. The 2008 D, the 1991 D, and the 2008 P. Jefferson nickels, each carrying its own unique tale, cloaked in mystery, rarity, and value that defied every expectation. The 2008 D. Jefferson nickel, minted in the last breath of a recession-era economy, became a symbol of resilience and transformation. It was more than just a coin, it was a reminder of how precision, missteps, or unexplained mint anomalies can rewrite the value of everyday currency. From coin rolls to world auctions, its journey from obscurity to a staggering $173 million marked a seismic moment in numismatic history. Then came the 1991 D. Jefferson nickel, a coin whose story began decades earlier but rippled into modern times with a value that soared to an astronomical $200 million. Its mystique was born from its rarity, yes, but also from its perfect storm of timing, condition, and unexplained scarcity. 4 years it circulated under the radar, passed over without notice, until one pristine piece surfaced and changed the narrative forever. It taught collectors and historians alike that sometimes, the rarest treasures are